What you're sensing is part of a much bigger shift. See, now we're 2 years into mass AI adoption. We've hit the second wave, not the experimentation phase. That was fun. This one's quieter, more dangerous. It's creators who gradually, sometimes without noticing, outsource their voice. Not their editing, not their formatting, but their voice. And the audience is noticing it, not with angry comments. They're noticing it in the way that you do when a friend is talking differently after a new relationship. You can't quite name it, but something's shifted. You trust them just a little less, you stop sharing with them, you drift away. Now that's what's happening to your content, quietly and in slow motion. Now here's what makes this urgent, is that bot traffic has officially surpassed human internet traffic in 2024. More than half of everything online is synthetic. You know, the real audience, the ones who buy, refer, and show up, they're wading through an ocean of AI slop every single day. Exhausted, suspicious, hyper-attuned to anything that feels genuinely human. And this is the thing, you've never had a bigger competitive advantage than your actual voice, and you might just be throwing it away. So today I have 5 specific audible signs that your content has drifted. Not vibes, real signals, and how to get it back. Because your voice isn't a personality trait, it's a strategic asset. And right now, it might be depreciating without you knowing. Quick context on why I care about this. I'm Chris Latham, and I help founders and experts show up as their best selves on camera so that they can build trust, stay top of mind, and become the go-to source in their industry. Which means voice drift is something I see almost daily. So let's get into those 5 signs. The reason you don't see it happening is that the voice drift doesn't announce itself. Nobody decides to start sounding like a LinkedIn content machine. It happens brick by brick. One AI draft, one ghostwritten post, one template that just works. Each piece seems fine, but you zoom out 6 months, and you're looking at a body of work that could have been written by anyone. Think of it as the problem with auto-tune in the music industry. Auto-tune was first invented to fix minor pitch errors. You know, used subtly, it's invisible. But overused, that perfect pitch sounds cheap, manufactured, repetitive. Meanwhile, a slightly raw vocal sounds expensive because it sounds real. And Adele has built a career on that. And we all love Adele, let's be honest. Her music is just top notch. So now AI is the auto-tune of writing. It smooths your grammar, tightens your structure, removes your weird tangents, and strips away the exact things that made you worth reading. You know, the specifics, the personal details, that little black speck. Because here's how you tell premium vanilla ice cream from that artificial stuff. It's the little black specks of the actual bean. The perfectly white, perfectly smooth, you assume is fake. Your content works the same way in that the hyper-specific anecdotes, the unexpected analogies, the occasional rant, that's your proof of life. The creators winning right now didn't win by being the most polished. No. They won by being the most specific with their weird tangents, their oddly formatted sentences, their jokes that only land if you've been following them for a while. That's not accidental, that's the strategy. So here's the test. Read the last 10 pieces you wrote and ask, is there anything there that only you could have written and not someone else in your niche? You specifically. You know, a reference to something weird that happened in 2019. An analogy from a completely unrelated part of your life. An opinion someone might actually push back on. You see, those are the vanilla bean specs. So here's the diagnostic. If you could swap your name off the content and nobody would notice, that means those specks of bean are gone. And your audience already knows and they just haven't told you. That's the surface layer. Underneath it is something deeper and harder to fake. So let's start with this question. Why does anybody follow you instead of just Googling it? Everything you know from your framework, your processes, your insights, it's all online somewhere for free. So why does anybody need you? It's not because your information is better. It's because they want your specific lens on it. What you think, how you see it. What would you do in that situation? You see, they're not following a content feed. They're following a person. And the moment your content could have been written by anyone, it might as well have been written by no one. And this is what AI does to your opinions by default. It right-likes the mathematical average of the internet. hedging, balancing, it depends. That's the writing equivalent of a firm handshake and zero eye contact. Technically correct, but completely forgettable. You see, real voices have real opinions, sometimes uncomfortable ones, but the creators with the most loyal audiences don't say something that balances things. They say the most specific things. They take a position. They make you think, I've never heard of it in that frame before. Here's the diagnostic. When was the last time your content made someone uncomfortable? Not offensive, but uncomfortable. The kind of uncomfortable that makes someone screenshot it and send it to a colleague. And if you can't remember, then your opinions have been edited out and that vanilla bean spec is gone. See, opinions tell people what you think, but stories, that tells them what you've lived. And both go missing the same way. The sign is almost diagnostic on its own. The absence of first-person specifics, timestamp stories, not I once worked with a client who. See, that's played out. There's a placeholder and your audience feels that vagueness from that type of post. You see, what I mean is a story where you name the year, describe the exact situation, and include the details that has no business being in a professional post, but makes the whole thing land. You see, that weird detail, that embarrassing part, that thing that happened at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday that changed how you think about your industry, see, those are the things that AI can't write. Ghostwriters who don't know deeply enough can't write those stories either because they haven't been there. And without them, your content is just information. And information in 2024 is worth pretty much nothing on its own without a story to carry it. So far, we've talked about what's in your content. Now let's talk about how it sounds. You see, there's a tell that's almost impossible to fake and almost impossible to spot in your own writing unless you say it out loud. You see, the AI content has a rhythm. It's not bad. It's actually quite pleasant. Short, punchy sentences, medium, explanatory sentences, longer sentences that build and add nuance, short, punchy, close ones over and over. It's the same tuck, tuck, tuck framework. But your actual voice runs a little messier. You'll have run-on sentences when you're excited. You'll have one-word paragraphs when you want to land something and be concise. Just like this. You go on tangents for 3 sentences, then you snap back. That irregularity isn't a flaw. It's a fingerprint. And when that fingerprint disappears, that special unique touch that makes your voice unique, your audience doesn't know why, but they just feel like they're reading a well-trained customer service bot instead of somebody they trust. So here's the diagnostic. Read your last piece out loud. And if it sounds like someone else wrote it, someone slightly more competent and slightly less alive, then that's the rhythm tell that something is off. You see, trust depends on one more thing, and it might be the hardest of all these to see. Think about the creators you follow most loyally, like me. Part of what keeps you coming back is that you don't always know what they're going to say. You see, there's a genuine surprise, a take that you didn't expect, a connection you didn't see coming. Now, AI optimizes for the opposite of that. It gives you what the prompt asks for, structured the way the category of content is typically structured. It just replicates what it's seen before. It is, by design, predictable. So when your audience can finish your sentences before you write them, you've stopped being a voice. You've become a content category, easily replaceable. And content categories don't build authority. People do. So that's the diagnosis. Now, here's what it's actually costing you, because it's worse than slower growth. The concept that reframes everything is trust equity. You see, your audience's trust is like a bank account. Content that sounds like you, specific, opinionated, human, that's a deposit. Content that sounds like the mathematical average of your industry, that's a withdrawal. Small ones maybe, but consistent. And trust erosion is a lagging indicator. By the time your metric drops, your core audience, the ones who knew your original voice, who are most likely to buy from you, they've been checking out for months. The dashboard looks fine, but the trust account is overdrawn. Here's why this matters more now than ever before. The 2024 Edelman Trust Barometer found that people now trust their peers, the people who feel like them, who look like them, at the same rate as they trust credentialed expert. In an era of institutional distrust, personhood is the new credential. So when you optimize your voice away, you're moving in the exact opposite direction of where trust is going. Now, there's a business consequence to this too. The commoditization spiral. Think about milk. Homogenize makes it uniform. but it stops the cream from rising. When you optimize your content to sound like everyone else in your niche, you're homogenizing your brand. You get compared on volume and price. Each piece carries less relational weight. The creators who sound unmistakably like themselves aren't competing on volume. They're competing on irreplaceability. And irreplaceable things don't get compared, they get sought out. And here's an example. In 2023, Sports Illustrated got caught publishing fake AI-generated authors. They had the fabricated bios, stock photo headshots. The backlash wasn't about the writing quality. The writing quality was fine. It was about the fake personhood. 70 years of brand equity gone in one news cycle. You're not Sports Illustrated, but the dynamic is identical. When your audience senses, even vaguely, that the person behind the content has been replaced by a process, the betrayal is the same. Just quieter and harder to recover from. So that's the diagnosis. But now the question is, what do we do about it? But before we dig into the steps, I need to make something clear that's been in the room the whole time. The fear that if you strip away the AI drafts, the templates, that you won't know what to say, that you fear your real voice might not be as good as the polished version that you've been publishing. You see, that fear is the problem, not the AI. The tools accelerated the drift. They didn't cause it. And the way back isn't about abandoning them. It's about rebuilding the instinct to use them on your terms instead of theirs. So here are the 3 steps in order. Step 1, the voice fingerprint. Find 3 to 5 pieces from early in your career, before content strategy, before the optimization, heck, even before AI. Read them and then ask yourself, what did you talk about that you don't talk about anymore? What were the weird analogies that you've had? What opinions did you once share that you've since softened? That's your fingerprint you're recovering from. That's that unique vanilla bean speck. Step 2, the only I could write this test. Before anything goes out, ask yourself the following question. Is there at least one thing in this piece that only I could have written? You know, one specific story, one genuine opinion, one sentence that would feel out of place on someone else's page. If their answer is no, then it doesn't go out. Step 3, the read aloud rule. Read every piece out loud before it goes live. Not to check the errors, but to make sure it sounds like you. For example, if you stumble over a sentence, maybe that's not how you talk. If there's a section that falls flat when you say it, maybe that's not how you think. You see, your voice lives in your mouth before it lives on the page. In a world where AI produces competent content in 3 seconds, competent is worthless. The only content that carries weight is content that couldn't exist without you specifically. So it's your history, your failures, your specific way of seeing the world that nobody else has. Because nobody else has lived your exact life. Now, that's not a feel-good idea. That's the hardest mode in business. You are the only person who cannot be replicated by the tools replicating everybody else. But only if you show up fully. Specs and all. So here's a question and a debate for the comments. Is the creator who uses AI for 80% of their content, but adds a genuine opinion at the end, more authentic than the creator who writes everything themselves, but only says what their audience wants to hear? Where do you land, and tell me why? Because the answer you provide reveals exactly what you believe authority actually is. So drop it in the comments below, and see you guys in the next one.